Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast that never does anything only halfway, it's SiftPop. Welcome to SiftPop Weekly, streaming live most weekends or available to download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons get perks.
Patrons get those perks.
I was on a delay.
Yeah,
I was lagging.
A little bit of a lag.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and he's my fellow podcast host, and we don't shake hands because brothers got a hug.
Oh,
It's Andrew Ormsby, and each week we'll chat about movies, TV, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds.
Hi, good buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
We're actually live on YouTube for this one. It's been a while.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
If you wanna see all the beautifulness that is happening in the studio, you can always check out the SiftPop YouTube channel. Heavy on my mind right now is daylight saving time because it happened today.
Yeah.
So steal that hour of sleep.
Okay, so obviously your phones automatically switch over and stuff like that. So my alarms went off and everything. I was getting in my car to come here, and I looked at my car clock, and I'm like, oh, I'm running a little early.
I'm way early.
I'm way early. I can
go grab some food.
I thought about it, and then I'm like, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense because I was pushing time to get out. And then I checked my phone. I'm like, it must have been the day.
Yes, it was. I posted something this morning, and I've gotten a little bit of feedback on it. Do you know what Universal Time is? Universal Time Coordinated, UTC. Have you ever heard of this concept? It's the idea that with technology being the way it is, that time zones are outdated and that we should all just go by Greenwich Mean Time, which is also now known as UTC, Universal Time Coordinated. And
of course, the British are on board with this.
That wouldn't be the same.
Greenwich Mean Time is
England's time?
I think it is.
No, I don't think so. I could be wrong. I can check that out. I think it's actually between us and England. I think it kind of splits the difference. But anyways, the point being that we're smart enough to know, like if I say, let's say, I think here Monday would technically start at what we now call like 8 p.m. That would be like 0 hour. And so like what we usually call 9 p.m. would be like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, that kind of thing, whatever. So we just know, okay, I go to bed about time when, about 0. And then I wake up at about, 8 or 9 or whatever the case may be, and you just figure out what it looks like where you are. But then you don't have to worry about doing all that math whenever you want to set a meeting with somebody who's time zones away, or you're doing travel and you're like, how did I just time travel and I landed sooner than I left, and all that kind of stuff. So anyways,
I guarantee you 95% of the world would hate this idea because people hate change.
I totally
so much.
agree. No, I know. It's one of those, I have several things in just kind of these ideas that people have, and it's like, but we're so bad at change. Yeah. Even though it's probably right and that probably makes a lot of sense, we just, we don't like change. So
that'd be like adding an extra day to the week,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there are some cool ideas with that too. Have you seen the 8-week day ideas?
I know that people like an 8-week day because it makes more sense for like a work week to have an even number of days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even want to think about what the calendar would look like with that.
The other part of like, especially the 8-week day thing, is you have to ignore kind of the built-in circadian rhythm, which is the idea of, sleeping when the sun's down. That a lot of people do.
Yeah. Oh, you say a lot of people do, and then you look across and you know who you're talking to. You're like, wait, hold up.
But even you have a circadian rhythm. Like even you have an idea of how your body best operates. Yeah. Sleep and awake time. So.
Go to bed at 5, wake up at noon.
Sure. That can be your circadian rhythm. That's fine. Anyhow, so we're operating with an hour less to our day. We time traveled overnight, as did much of the world.
But we got to sleep an extra hour.
Right? No, we lost an hour last night, man.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, it's spring forward.
Oh. Well,
it says volumes that you don't even know. Like the idea, like you don't even know if you're more tired or less tired because of what happened last night.
Well, honestly, I went to bed at like 10 last night. Yeah.
Which is way early for you.
It's like almost 8 hours-ish early for me, but I was still super tired when I woke up. Yeah. It's just because, I've been working on the house. So my hands are sore, my back is hurting, my knees are gone. I just like lay down and I'm like, oh, world, just wake me up when all the pain's gone. But I got to do it, man.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
No, I'm excited for you, man.
Thanks.
Getting into that house.
But that's not what people tuned in here to listen to.
We were going to talk about pop culture. We've got our buried treasure coming up. We've got a SiftQuest that somebody sent us on about serendipity in movies.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. And we're going to review Onward as well. But we're going to kick it off with some Do We Care?
Every single week, I scour the internet to find out what is going on in the entertainment world. I pick 3 topics for us to discuss, and we must decide, do we care or not? Number 1, the coronavirus is having its effect on the entertainment industry.
I'm going to say I care.
Yeah.
I think it would be very, very inappropriate for me to say that I didn't care about that.
First, South by Southwest was canceled.
Yes.
Cons is looking to be canceled.
Yeah.
And the newest Bond film is pushed from April to November.
That was the first big entertainment domino to fall. What's interesting about No Time to Die is, one, we don't know if one of the plot lines affected this either. If there's a outbreak plot line in it, maybe there was some sensitivity issues.
Which is not unheard of. I mean,
no.
Look at Spider-Man and Collateral Damage during 9/11.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Not unheard of at all. But the other thing is, it may just be a financial decision. They may just feel like nobody wants to go to movies right now.
Well, the Chinese market is closed right now.
Right.
In China, theaters are closed. And if you want to make money worldwide, a giant market is China.
Yeah.
So
the biggest market for some movies is going to be in China. So it's one of those strange things where it's like, I don't blame them, but at the same time, I kind of blame them. If it's solely a money decision,
it sucks, but you get it.
I totally understand it. Their business, they got to do it. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I want to see the Bond movie.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
Well, this shouldn't affect me.
Just stream it to me. You know, just tweet out a link, man. Everybody can go watch it at the link.
There you go.
Just make it free. It's not like you spent a bunch of money on it. Come on.
Speaking of free, Contagion, the 2001 film by Steven Soderbergh, is officially the #1 most pirated movie online right now.
Because it's a great movie, right? It has nothing to do with world events.
Yeah.
I think I've always been a Contagion fan. Me and my Steven Soderbergh fandom. I think he makes great movies. I mean, if nothing else, Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kate Winslet, Jude Law, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
You gotta see this movie. You gotta see this movie.
Yeah. It'll mess you up, especially nowadays. I haven't seen it since it came out, so I'm sure if I were to go back and rewatch this movie now with, this global mindset that's going on right now, it would probably hit me a lot harder.
Well, let me just tell you this. Yeah. When I watched the movie, there was no coronavirus going on.
Okay.
There was no virus that was spreading
in 2001. There had to have been some swine, bird flu, swine flu, bird flu.
They'll pop up here and there. I'm just saying, in that moment, there was no cultural consciousness of a big, epidemic event. And I finished that movie and was like, oh, that's how we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
It's like that was the movie that I came out of going, oh, that's the actual apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because if you look at coronavirus and what's happening with it, you get a good indication of what could happen if that type of aggressibility, there's a fun word, that type of aggressiveness from a virus was combined with a virus that actually had a higher mortality rate
than 2%.
How quickly the world's population would just go down. Because corona is unstoppable. It's going to cross the world.
Yeah. And it's not the first time we've dealt with coronavirus too.
Right.
SARS and MERS are technically coronavirus. But
viruses are weird in that they adapt, and all of a sudden there's a new mutated version, and that's what's so scary a lot of times.
But coronavirus is the encompassing name that SARS and MERS fall into. So,
by the way, just as a warning, this is not a science podcast. We may say things that are ignorant. So just know that.
Yeah.
But we're just kind of going by what we know.
Phil, is MEV1 what this new coronavirus is?
MEV1?
Oh yeah, COVID-19. That's what this new. But coronavirus is the overall encompassing name of it all. But it's a lot catchier than COVID-19.
COVID-19, man. It sounds like a Beck album or something. Like,
nobody's going to be afraid of COVID-19, but coronavirus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, watch Contagion, watch Outbreak.
Yeah,
have a good time.
In Outbreak, they didn't call it evil monkey disease, so
Right.
that's why it spread so fast. If they would have called it evil monkey disease, they could have had the thing under control. Number three. As we're heading more out of virus and into our actual main topic of the day, Onward.
Thank you. Yeah.
A lawsuit involving Disney's new film Onward is picking up publicity.
Okay.
A San Francisco artist was contacted by Pixar in 2008 to have her unicorn-painted van featured at a press event. She did, but now the design for her van is featured in Disney's newest film, but the artist was not compensated or asked for permission.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
How did Disney think they could get away with this?
Well, I don't. There's a couple things here. Number one, I think a lot of this is going to how you feel about this is going to be based on how strictly you interpret the idea of intellectual property or the idea of, what is art. Because I think it's fair to say they're different pictures. They just look very similar in color scheme, and, that they both have a unicorn on them.
Well, one's
same
a unicorn,
position.
One's a Pegasus.
Yeah, that's
one
true.
has a diamond, one has a moon.
Right. So,
but they're literally the positioning
the
of
coloring.
Everything is exactly something.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You can look at this and you can go, "Oh, that is very, very similar." But then a judge has to say, how similar is too similar before you need to give credit from the artist.
I guess the interior also is the exact same, like red shag carpeting and stuff like that on the inside of the van is all the same. Too.
Now, the second part of this is what was the pre-existing understanding of this commission? You said it was commissioned, right?
Yeah, it was commissioned to be her van to be shown at a Pixar event back in 2018. So probably way before Onward was,
Oh, no, Onward was certainly in development in 2019.
18.
In 18?
Yeah.
Probably even. These movies take about 4 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was at least in development.
Still, interesting topic nonetheless.
Yeah,
what constitutes as intellectual property.
Right, and what I'm saying is the other part the judge has to look at is what was the understanding and contract for this commission.
Yeah.
Because if it was commissioned for Pixar, then part of them may be able to say
lawyerness.
No, she or he or she, I don't know who actually.
It's a she. Gwynthi, I think is her name, her last name, I think.
So Pixar may be able to say, well, she drew this for us. Of course we can use it. We paid her to draw this for us.
No, not that she drew it. It's her van. She has the van that this is based off.
Oh, okay.
And she was, she brought her van to the event.
Because they told her.
Huh?
They told her to bring her van to the event.
They commissioned her to have her van appear at an event.
So that means they paid her to bring her van to the event. Yes, that's different. I don't think that gives them a right to use the actual art in any way. So yeah, I think if I were Disney Pixar on this, I would just
shell out the money.
Yeah, I'd have a meeting with her and say, hey, how much do you want?
Yeah.
Here's 20% of that or whatever.
Oh.
Here's what we can agree on.
Yeah.
Let's negotiate. But yeah, no, we absolutely took inspiration from your van. So here's some money.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. But
yeah, because I'm always this isn't always right, but 90% of the time I'm on the side of the little guy as opposed to the big corporation, I'm like, yeah, don't try and screw over this person who you are going to try and lawyer out of a couple bucks when they rightly deserve it,
Yeah.
But having said that, let us move on forward from this Do We Care segment because that's going to wrap it up for Do We Care.
Very nice. Well, let's talk about the movie, shall we? Let's review Onward. Two teenage elf brothers, Ian and Barley Lightfoot, go on a journey to discover if there is still a little magic left out there in order to spend one last day with their father, who died when they were too young to remember him. This is the latest new movie from Pixar, not based on a previous Pixar. Yeah. This is an original film. And this is, if you don't know, if you've never watched anything that I've done before. Pixar is my jam, so
Yeah.
you should know ahead of time not to trust anything I have to say about this movie. No, that's not true. I feel like sometimes I'm actually harder on Pixar because I love them so much.
Because the quality and the caliber is such high.
It is so very high. So what did you think? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or was it just okay?
I really liked it. Close to loved it.
I'm definitely in the loved it camp.
Yeah.
I don't know. I came into this one, I had heard from many of my trailer watching friends that the trailer did not do a lot for this movie, that they had low expectations based on the trailer. And I think some of that bled over into me a little bit, even though I didn't watch the trailer, where I'm like, oh, maybe this will be a Pixar movie that's just kind of okay. And maybe it was those low expectations, but I came away going, no, this is the epitome of what Pixar does.
Yeah.
No,
it definitely checks all the Pixar boxes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if for me that can eventually lead to a negative. I mean,
like you get tired of it, like you can kind of see the formula.
Yeah, I can see the formula, but then I think to myself, well, that's true, but it hasn't happened with Marvel. Marvel has a formula that they follow for 20 plus movies. But it's a formula that works, and even though I can predict it, it doesn't take away from the emotional journey that this movie definitely takes you on. And this movie knows how to tug at heartstrings, just like all the other Marvel movies, but all the other Pixar movies do.
Just say Disney movies; it covers all of them.
Yeah, all the Disney movies. Yeah. No, it's a really good movie, and it's a world, no pun intended, that I am a huge fan of.
Do you think it did service to the idea of kind of the fantasy world and
the D&D
aspect of it?
Oh yeah. It was because as I'm going along, and not D&D, they call it something else in this because they didn't want to pay Gygax any money. It felt so much like a campaign. Like, oh, you have to go here to start your quest. You have to do all this and this and this, and you have to know this to be able to do this. And I'm like, yeah, this is. The people who wrote this definitely have an understanding of what, tabletop role-playing is. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had such a great time with this movie. Like you said, it checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
I laughed a lot. I had lots of emotions.
Yeah. Mimosas and emotions.
Yeah. No, mimotions are when your emotions are so strong you can't even pronounce the word. Yes, exactly.
Okay, I want to ask you this, just jumping right in off the bat.
Sure.
This film has a very, very powerful brotherly message going on here.
Yes.
I don't have a brother. I got a little sister.
Yeah.
You got a brother.
I got a brother.
How did this movie make you have any feelings to your brother?
Sure,
or stuff
of course.
like that?
Of course. And as father has 4 boys.
Yeah.
So there's literally what's the exponential equation there? Like there's how many different brother relationships are there?
Oh, there's 7 ways to Kevin Bacon. Sort of
yeah,
thing?
yeah, exactly. There's so many different brotherly relationships there. So yeah, the fact that we're dealing with brothers, and not only that, and I guess we'll have to wait till the Sift spoil to talk about some of this, but the way the movie tells the brother story was really, I think, really smart and really well done. They're so smart about how they reveal parts of their stories and when they reveal them in the best way to impact you. And there's a moment that happened. Well, there's 3 specific moments where I teared up. One where I shed some tears.
Yeah.
But all 3 of them did this beautiful thing that you kind of have to do to really grab that emotion, which is there's an element of surprise to it too.
Yeah.
And not that you're like, oh, I can't believe it, plot twist kind of surprise.
Yeah.
But a story turn where they're like, oh, but did you think about it this way? And you're like, oh, yeah. And then the tears just start coming. And they're just so good at that. And there are at least 3 of those specific moments that we can talk about in the Sift spoil that really hit me. We're also dealing with, in my life, the fact that, this is about a father who passed away, got sick, and the fact that I almost died 2 years ago impacts that in a lot of ways. So almost exactly 2 years ago was when I died. And so it was one of those things where, there's that element of the emotion for me as well, especially, for my wife who was sitting with me and watching the film. I mean, she said afterwards, I think it's safe to say that movie wrecked me. And she was, crying through most of the movie and most of the trip home. And, just because she's thinking about our story and our experience and having, kids and what would have life been like, if I hadn't recovered and all those kind of things. So it's definitely has some tie into my own personal life that probably explains, the deeper that emotion was. So, and this isn't one of those things. I always have to clarify this because I don't want to be accused of saying somebody can't get something because they're not in a place in their life. The idea of, somebody will say, well, if you were a parent, you'd like this movie more, you'd understand.
No, it just gives you a different way of looking at something.
Well, it's perspective, right? We all have our own stories. We all have our own perspective, and that does impact things. It's just as silly to say that doesn't matter as it is to say it's the only thing that matters.
Exactly.
There's a balance there, right?
Yeah.
So, in that balance for us was definitely that this one touched us in some of our real perspective places. So, yeah, for sure.
So, I guess we can just go straight down to voice performances. What did you think of everybody?
Great.
Yeah.
Pixar does so great at picking the right people for the right voices.
Star-Lord and Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
What more do you need to know?
I love Chris Pratt in this role.
Yeah.
I mean, he
great.
really embodies this. I mean, I don't know why, but I had a feeling as I was watching this, like any other actor doing this role, like this loud, over-the-top character, would come across as just silly and ridiculous and it wouldn't fit in. But for some reason, I buy into the fact that since it's his voice, it just lends itself perfectly. Like, I believe that person exists.
Yeah.
Even in this world. Because even in this world, it still sounds ridiculous because while it is a fantasy world, everything is modernized. There's schools, there's cars, there's everything like this. So you have something that you can hang your hat on and you like, okay, so I'm just going to put my reality within this world that has, manticores and centaurs and stuff like that.
I think one of the really smart things the movie does, and I don't think this is spoilerish to say, but it is a way that the movie uses the story, is that the way it's formatted, you almost think the overall theme of this movie is going to be about how we've lost the magic of our, interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
The idea that the metaphor here is, sure, we don't have a history of actual magical creatures that we know about in this world.
Yeah.
But we do have a different era where technology wasn't such a dominant part in our lives, where we were more forced to interact with each other.
Yeah.
That magic, like the metaphor would be, oh, where is that magic gone? And the movie almost lulls you into thinking that's what it's about, and then starts hitting you with the brother stuff in bigger ways. And it's like, oh, that's what this movie is about. And it kind of adds to the ability for the story to kind of take you on a surprising journey with them. So yeah, or there's a second lull too. The second lull is that maybe it's about fathers and sons. Like, that this is going to be a movie, and this is the bigger misdirection, is that this is going to be about a father, a son trying to reconnect with his father. And the movie is...
But what that role actually means,
right,
and stuff like that.
And so the movie kind of, again, throws you that curveball of, you thought it was about this, but watch this.
Are you the older brother or younger brother?
Older brother.
Older brother, okay.
Yeah. Yep, and my dad was around for our whole time too. Okay. So there was. I think that's a totally valid thing to say because I believe, based on my limited experience, that really is a valid differentiator. My role as a brother would have changed if my father wasn't around. Right?
Oh, absolutely. You're the man of the house now.
Right. So that idea, and maybe that's fair, unfair, too much pressure, whatever to put on somebody, but that cultural idea at least exists, and I think that makes for a different perspective for sure. So yeah. What else? What else do you want to talk about?
Cons, I guess. There are some elements in this movie I can't really get into here. I'll just say there's geographical things, there's people in certain places that don't make sense, and they either come across as like lazy or just confusing, and they were prominent enough for me that I'm like, oh man,
I think I know what you're talking about.
I wish that hadn't happened. That's the only thing keeping me from loving this movie. That I think that there are a few elements of this movie that
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense or lazy, and I'm just like, oh man, if you would have polished that up just a little bit, this would have been almost a perfect movie.
Yeah. No, I think I'm with you. I certainly wasn't distracted by that stuff. It never, it was very easy for me to suspend my disbelief on anything that popped up that was, my brain went, well, that doesn't make sense. I was like, I don't care. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
normally I can do that, but for a movie that's this good, I have to find something. You know?
Interesting. When it's this good, it makes it easier for me to let go of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, not really think about it. But
yeah.
Yeah,
most of when a movie is almost as perfect as this, and like you've said, we give Pixar a lot of leeway because the caliber of their movies is so good that you actually have to search for stuff if you want to have a negative.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that just me searching made it be there. Those things definitely are there.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah, just a couple things.
Yeah, I enjoyed both Octavia Spencer and Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Their little side quest was pretty fun.
It was really great. This movie, the other thing this movie does really well is it doesn't get distracted by other plot lines that could have been interesting. This movie doesn't ever really approach the mom's loss or mourning in a huge way of her husband.
Yeah.
It's about the boys, right? Like it's about their relationship and their perspective. And in a lesser movie, we could have spent too much time on everybody else's journey instead of focused on the story that the movie is really telling us. And I think that's really smart, because she exists in many ways as a protector and a provider and that kind of thing, which I think is perfect. That's perfect, a perfect role for her in this film.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about the action?
Like the effects and stuff, like the action effects.
Sure, if you want to talk about effects.
There's very few in this movie, but like a couple scenes, like there's just one on the freeway. I'll say was super fun to watch. The one at the end I thought was a lot of fun. Yeah, nothing mind-blowing. Not like Incredibles 2, the bike chase, anything like that. But no, there's good.
It served its purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I never had one of those.
No Jack v. Raccoon scene.
Right, yeah. I never had one of those euphoric moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Yeah. There was a little bit of an action scene that made me laugh really, really loud that involved the van. But
yeah, and see, that's the thing is I remember these moments, and I think
see, now you know what I'm talking. And I laughed profoundly at that part.
It is funny. It is really funny. It's a very funny movie, but one of the greatest compliments to a movie is just all those things that you remember, those moments you remember, and the way the scenes play together. You think of that scene with the van. I think of the beautiful tension of the scene of the Indiana Jones scene. Like I just think of scene after scene where I'm like, oh, that's fun. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I laughed at that. Oh, that was kind of cool. And I thought the last quote unquote action scene was really well done.
Yeah.
It has this thing that some of my favorite Goosebump movies do, which is character, trying to figure something out, finally getting to the place where they just own it and it's part of them, and now they can just kick butt. Like that.
Yeah.
It has that thing in that last scene, and I thought, so I got a few goosebumps there.
Somebody leveled up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I'm excited to do Sift Spoil on this because
we're gonna have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, because there are a lot of specific moments that I want to call out in this movie. Like I said, I love it. I think it's very well done. It is, in my opinion, if not top tier Pixar, just under top tier Pixar. Which when you're talking about Pixar,
it's a close
For me, when you're talking about Pixar, you're talking about Cars 2 is a mediocre film, and the rest of them are all good to great. So
for me, this isn't on like Finding Nemo caliber or WALL-E caliber
or Incredibles or Inside Out for me.
But it is definitely up there with like the Toy Story sequels and Up.
Ratatouille, Up.
I don't like Ratatouille.
Well, that's weird. That's just,
Actually, Tom Holland's character, like the actual design of that character, is based off of the guy from Ratatouille.
Oh, Luigi.
Yeah, Luigi. They just added ears to him.
Linguini.
I
said Luigi. That's a
It's
that's a Nintendo thing.
Yeah.
I think Linguini is the character's name.
Linguini, Alfredo or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's based off
I can kind of
the
see
character
that.
design. They just added the ears and the hair.
I can kind of see that. How do we feel about the dad character?
I don't want to.
It's almost a MacGuffin in some ways.
No,
I mean it's not. But
I'm afraid to say too much.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Can we wait to spoilers to talk about that one?
Sure.
Because I have a lot to talk about with the dad character. Not on only an emotional level, but I think some of the funniest moments in the movie are with that character.
Yeah, there's a weird, almost Weekend at Bernie's-ish aspect to what's going on here.
Underrated movie.
Yeah, this movie's good, Andrew.
This movie's
movie. Really good.
It's a good movie. If it wasn't for me nitpicking and finding these things that just stand out, it would be up there.
Yeah.
All right.
Very nice.
Good job, Pixar.
Yeah,
You've done it again.
Well done.
All right. It's the I think it's only the third movie that Pixar's done that does not have humans in it. A Bug's Life and then the Cars trilogy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're 3 Cars movies, so like third world that they've gone into without humans. That's interesting to think of. I hadn't thought about that at all. But yeah, no, there are no humans. It is all fantasy creatures in this movie. So, yeah, that's fascinating. Anyways, yeah, I'll need to do my Pixar rankings, but it's gonna be up with those other great ones.
Excellent.
And I'm super excited. I get 2 Pixar days this year.
Yeah,
we get this and Soul's coming up later this summer. So, man, it's like
I can't wait for that movie.
It's gonna be great. Well, there you go. I think it's a high recommend for me at least, and I think Andrew as well. So, excited to hear that.
Now onward to the next segment of the podcast.
Even the title had a nice little emotional moment to it. Like the idea of, I guess I don't want to spoil it, but the whole Onward thing, I actually tied in kind of nicely. So let's move on to our SiftQuest for today. Before we do that, though, I will say thank you to our SiftPop members.
Yes.
We had a good time with our SiftPop pre-show, hanging out and chatting some fun stuff.
Yeah.
So if we chatted coronavirus, we had
a great time. It was
your
super
house.
fun.
We had a fun time. So if you want to listen to that, you get your own podcast feed as a SiftPop member at any level. Support starts at $3 a month. You can check that out at patreon.com/SiftPop. Our SiftPop members are coming through big time, and we appreciate you. All right, here's the SiftQuest. This comes to us from Eric. It says, hello, Aaron and Andrew.
Hello.
Hi, Eric. One of the times Andrew mentioned There Will Be Blood in No Country for Old Men coming out around the same time reminded me of what happened when a friend and I went to see one of them. We were sure we wanted to see one of those two, but we couldn't decide which. So we decided to flip a coin, and the coin chose No Country for Old Men. We went in having no idea how much coin flipping happened in that movie. Have you ever had a serendipitous movie-going experience like that? Fun question. What do you think, Andrew? How did you take this? This could go a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I racked my brain forever. I thought of one early on, but I'm like, I don't want to use that one. But,
no. But now you have to say.
I know. And honestly, I was going to anyway because I couldn't think of any other.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I watched Homeward Bound, and then my cat ran away.
Oh, no. Andrew. Oh, that's not good, man.
That cat hated me anyway. It was always scratched.
Did you feel like...
my parents say that it ran away, but I have a feeling it got hit by a car.
Oh, yeah.
Because they never put up posters or anything like that. Either that or they just hated the cat too.
It's funny because my boys, we had 2 dogs, and one of them passed away.
I didn't know that. When was this? A while ago?
Yeah, it was... this is probably 5 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago. But, we had a little miniature dachshund and a black lab. and those were our dogs. The mini dachshund's name was Switchfoot, and the black lab's name was Princessa Aliene, which is French for Princess Fool. So Princess and the Fool. Anyways, so Switchfoot died, and then we were like, you know what, this will be a good time to kind of be done with pets. And so we gave our other dog away to a
happy farm where he could frolic.
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
And so every time our boys would be like, well, what happened to your dog? They'd be like, well, she's playing on a happy farm and out playing in the countryside. And they'd be like, oh, so your parents killed her or whatever, your parents got rid of her.
No.
Like, no, really. We've gone and visited her in this happy farm. So anyways, that's what made me think of that. But I'm sorry you lost your cat, man.
That's all right. She was a butthole. Take that, Jasmine.
This was an interesting question, Eric, and I racked my brain. And what's interesting about this question for me is I'm sure there are many examples of stuff like this that then just slips my mind after the fact. But for whatever reason, the one that sticks with me was Valentine's Day weekend 2015. Valentine's Day weekend 2015, as is often the case with somebody who's reviewing movies, I was watching 2 movies in the same day.
Is that Deadpool?
No,
that was 2016, I think.
So Valentine's Day 2015 was when 50 Shades of Grey came out.
Wait, did you? No.
No, go ahead. Guess how this was serendipitous.
No.
Andrew, go ahead.
I can't do it.
Go ahead and guess.
It's a family show, Aaron.
So anyhow, one of the movies I watched was 50 Shades of Grey, and then the other one on the screening list for that day was a Christian movie called Old Fashioned. So there's this faith-based movie called Old Fashioned, and then 50 Shades of Grey. And what was amazing to me was how these were identical movies from different perspectives of sexuality. In both movies, there are scenes of contracts, of signing contracts. One of them signing contracts never to have sex. One of them signing a contract for, all the types of sexual activities that they're going to have. The idea, I came out of both of these movies going, they are both movies that put all the focus in relationships on sexuality when there are so many other parts of a relationship. And it's one of those things where the problems I had with 50 Shades of Grey were pretty much the same problems I had with Old Fashioned on a message level.
That's funny.
Which is very strange, right? Because you would think they're so obviously different, but they had the same issue, which is they put all the focus on sex, instead of, the relationship. So
I'm so glad that's the way the story went.
Were you going to get uncomfortable, Andrew?
I was like, Aaron, you won't let me swear, but you're about to tell a really racy story.
So what was serendipitous is later that day, I went into this store. I didn't know what was in this store.
Patricia's.
So
Phil, you're laughing because you know what it means.
That was all that I could think of as far as serendipitous movie moments. But thank you for that question, Eric. It at least allowed me to embarrass Andrew a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be able to top Cat running away, but there you go.
But I did.
Yeah.
There I did it. All right, let's finish off with our buried treasure for the week. Andrew, what's that one thing in any area of pop culture that you want to make sure people know about?
I'm going to go back to comics, man.
Okay.
I'm on a comic streak right now, letting people know about them. One of my favorite runs I just reread, and people got to read it. It's Injustice, Gods Among Us. I'll just say this. What if something horrible, traumatic had happened to Superman, and he says, enough is enough, I'm going to fix the world. Are you going to stop me? How?
Right.
And that's what this is all about. And then Batman, it's kind of DC's Civil War, but not really. It's just the closest comparison I can make, what if Superman just said all of a sudden, this happened to me, I'm never going to let it happen to anyone ever again. I don't care what the government say. I know what's right. And he becomes the new world leader pretty much. And it's
basically Superman as some sort of dictator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman is egging him on, yeah, go do it. And Spider-Man's in another universe, has no idea what's going on. But Batman is no, we got to stop him. And
wow.
It's a fascinating read. I highly recommend it.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very nice. I'm
based off of a video game, actually, believe it or not.
Like the video game came first?
The video game came first, and then they wrote the comic book, which is not how this normally goes.
No.
Yeah. Video game came first, and just as the video game. Also, great video game, by the way.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
If they make the Gods Among Us movie, is it a movie based on a video game or based on a comic book?
Technically, well, I would actually go video game. It's a movie based on a video game.
Listen, Sonic the Hedgehog has proven you can make a good video game movie.
But I don't know if people are going to be like, yeah, but the intellectual property of the characters of Batman and Superman came from a comic. Saying. But the story itself would have come from a video game.
I think we get to call it a video game movie. That's all I'm saying.
I'm down with that. They'd never make it, though, because nobody wants to see that the character is portrayed in this way.
I don't know, man.
You don't think?
I think it could work.
Yeah.
I think Brightburn was just a horrible execution of an idea that could have worked.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah. Oh, man, that movie's so bad.
It is. It's horrible. My buried treasure is from television. I don't think I've talked about the new season of Survivor on here, and so I wanted to talk. That's beautiful. I feel like I'm watching the show right now. That's amazing. You should just do all the themes. Survivor Winners at War. So do you know the concept of this season?
I'm assuming all the winners come back together and they're competing against each other. Have they done this before?
No, they have not. They've had all-stars. They've had people come back that are great characters, some of them winners, but never a whole season where every single person who's competing has won the show before.
How many seasons have there been now? 30?
This is the 40th. So
40th? Oh, my gosh.
So, this is the 40th season of Survivor, and so in honor of the 40th season, they're having the winners come back.
How many winners? Like 20-ish?
Yeah, well, I think they started with 20. Or at least somewhere close to that. And so you've got people like great characters like Boston Rob, and of course he's married to Amber now, who also won. So you've got your first time that a married couple is competing, against each other. Back? They did not bring back Richard.
Aww.
No. So, but Ethan Zahn, who's survived cancer twice since the time he won, came back. And then, Tyson is a great competitor. Sandra, who's the only person ever to win twice, is playing again.
Oh, did she win the All-Star or something?
She won another season that she was on, yes. It's just, for me, this has been astonishing stuff because everybody who's there. Oh, also Yul Kwan, who was one of my favorites.
Yul was one of my favorites.
Yul is great, and he is playing so great this season. But this thing is so packed with people who know how to play this game well.
They're all mental ninjas.
Oh, exactly, and it's mind blowing. My wife makes fun of me because during watching episodes of Survivor, I get cold. Because all the blood rushes like to my core because I get so nervous. Yeah, I get so nervous watching Survivor. Like, who are they going to vote out? Like, how's it going to go down? Like that kind of stuff. This is the worst. I have to watch with like 2 blankets on me for the entire episode this season because
you're turning into my grandma. It could be 90 degrees inside, but she has like a heating blanket
only for Survivor
and a big quilt while she's watching Pat Sajak and Vanna White. I don't know what this next word is.
Only for Survivor though. I cannot wait to see how all this turns out.
Who do you want to win? Yul?
I would be fine with the Yul win. That'd be really cool. There's a lot that's happened. All right, I think we're 4 episodes in, so I kind of know some things.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to put myself back in the mindset of, before it started. These are the people I would want to see do well. Sandra, Rob, Ethan Zahn, Tyson, and Yul.
Who was the cowboy?
There was a cowboy.
Well, he always had
that won.
Yeah. He's on the far left there.
It's an audio podcast, Andrew.
I'm helping you answer my question.
Oh, Ben. You're talking about Ben. Yeah,
okay.
He won just a couple seasons ago.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyhow, but the newer ones, I think, have a better chance. Because they've played the newer version of the game, which is a lot faster. Yeah. The game goes a lot faster now.
It's still 30 days, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I just mean like the strategy and everything is just a lot. Like it turns over
the
really
tribalism
fast.
of it all.
Because when it started, people were just figuring out, like the first season, nobody even knew what an alliance was. And Richard is out there basically going, is anybody else playing this game? Like, am I the only one playing this game? And he pretty much was.
Yeah. Naked.
And then now you've got people who understand, how to flip and how to blindside and all that kind of stuff.
I really want you to be on Survivor, Aaron.
Yeah?
I really do.
Well, get your call into Probes. See if I should probably apply.
You got the in. You talk to him every year.
That's true.
Say, hey, Jeff.
I told you he told me, he said, well, get your button gear and get an application in. And I was like,
well, Aaron, get your button gear, get an application.
I don't know.
You said you're getting all. Is that why you're really wanting to get all the kids out of the house so you can take?
So I go play Survivor.
So you can go play Survivor.
Yeah, I think that's right. So anyway, Survivor's Winners at War. Very excited to see where the season goes.
Can you pick it up on Hulu? Can you watch it there? Or
I don't think CBS does their stuff on Hulu. I think if you want
Peacock,
all the Survivor stuff, you'll have to do CBS All Access
or. Find other ways to watch it where you can also watch Contagion.
You can watch it on live television as well.
Nobody has live television.
What is live television? Well, we did it, man.
Yeah, we did.
We did a pod. We survived the coronavirus long enough to do a podcast, so we made it through. Thank you so much for joining us today. SiftPop is part of the Studio DNA podcast network. You can find out more about other shows on the network at studiodna.media or by searching Studio DNA in your podcast player. Huge thanks to Andrew for hanging out.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Huge thanks to producer Phil for producing up the show.
Thanks, Phil.
Much love and gratitude to our SiftPop members for giving monthly to make SiftPop a real thing. Support starts at $3 a month, and you get access to every bonus episode, as well as some other fun perks. You can find out more at patreon.com/SiftPop. That's with a T in the middle, SiftPop. There are lots of ways to connect with the podcast. You can leave a comment. You can rate the podcast. Leave a review at Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to get in your SiftQuest, you can do that. feedback@siftpop.com. You can email us. And finally, if you're having a good time, your movie-loving friends will probably like it too, so let them know about it, and that listening is much easier than perfectly aiming a minivan launch. We will have some spoilers about Onward coming up in the podcast feed, and then next week, probably Bloodshot. We'll be back to talk a little bit about Vin Diesel's new movie.
Live my life one shot at a time. That was a little Sylvester Stallone, actually.
Yeah. Same guy.
Adrian,
I'm Bloodshot.
Mickey.